My dad just called me and said that I owe $480 for my tax return because apparently if I just had $10 more taken out of my check every single week, then I wouldn't owe anything at all.
I'm gonna be real. Now, the whole video is about Gen Z. Well, Gen Z paying taxes and just in general how the economy is. Let me tell you, this was not something that was taught to me going through school too. It was more like my family didn't really talk about this too much either whenever I was growing up. So it was kind of one of those things. It was definitely a big culture shock. I like to say, welcome to adulthood. Welcome to adulthood.
And I said, what? What?
The sadness in her voice. It's like you work so hard. It's like, hey, by the way, you owe money. Like, that's such a weird feeling when you first do your taxes. Like, you think to yourself, you're golden. You've done everything that you're supposed to do correctly when you're working. And then just, you still get hit with a, hey, by the way, you owe the government just a little bit of money. Oh, sorry about that. Hold on. My model's breaking. Gotta love VTubing. It likes to break quite often, if you haven't noticed.
I owe money for working? I owe money for working.
It's such a big jump. It's such a big scare for most people. Like when you start going, you're like, oh, I'm about to make tons of money. And guess again, welcome to adulthood. Welcome to adulthood.
Because, yeah. And also, Dad, that sounds like a scam. You were telling me that if only $10 more every week came out, then I wouldn't owe the $480? How was I supposed to know that?
She has a good point. She has a good point. It's not like your job tells you. It's not like there's a lot of things that are kind of like, oh, you didn't know. Actually, funny story is that Nana was very much the same way, or my grandmother, because we all do taxes. And let me tell you something, because she works with it all the time, and she'll tell me like, Mija, you need to make sure that the next time when you do your stuff for your yearly, and they're asking you how much to take out, it's always going to be like either the max or I'd say above average, because you can have a certain amount of percentile of how much you're trying to get taken out from your check. Which is crazy because again, I had to have family which does taxes to be able to tell me, and it's confusing. But you can already see nice household, very young girl. You can tell that she's probably, this is her first job. She's very perky, very, let's just say she's very energetic. You can hear it like a new, fresh, young person going out to the real world. And it's funny because like after a few years, it might change you a little bit. It might make you a little bitter. So that nice, cute little perkiness might just go right down the toilet. Hopefully not, but happened to me, happened to a lot of people.
First of all, how am I supposed to know that? Second of all, how do I control that?
You don't.
And why is that a thing? How do you tell your employer, oh, take $10 more out of my paycheck every week so that I don't owe money when my tax return is done? What?
You just don't. Don't.
This is strange.
Life is strange. It's going to it's only going to get worse. Don't even think about having a family. Don't think about having like a house. It's just going to get worse.
Something ain't right, and damn it, it's time that we find out.
That's the government. Dealing with government for 12 years.
You truly don't understand anything about the world until you have to pay bills and pay taxes.
I think that's one of the big culture shocks when you first like grow up. Is like, hey, by the way, you got to do this. Everything's going to have this extra like insurance, taxes. Like you're going to be hit with that big wombo combo of life fucking sucks. But a lot of us kind of deal with it. We deal with it.
It's funny because I got a younger sister that's in Gen Z, and she was all for raising taxes, free health care, student loan forgiveness, and as soon as she seen that money taking out her first check, that opinion started to change.
She said, whoa. Hold up. This my money? You're taking my money away. Well, how about we just like don't do all that? Trust me. A lot of people think, oh, it's just that easy. You just have to like go ahead and give us pretty much everything for free. Give us all for free because other people do it. But here's the thing. You know how much you have to pay extra for everything else? Taxes, the things that are around you, groceries, you name it. Actually, great example. And again, might be a little uncultured. And since we are doing this offline, by the way, which we took a little small break from streaming. However, can't stop the content, baby. Sorry, I'm a little off streak. I've heard that Canada Canada has to deal with a lot of that because they have like free healthcare and a bunch of other stuff too. But anything that's being shipped, anything that has to do with taxes and stuff is jumped drastically from what I've heard from many of my friends. So I'm sure that's kind of how that works there. Should I do a little bit more research? Absolutely. But that's what I've heard.
I had to explain to her, the more money you make, the more money is going to be taken out. And out of that money that's taken out, almost none of it's going to what you want it to go to. In fact, some of it's going to an entirely different country because our government's proved to be incompetent. She got a better understanding of what it means to be an American.
America. One of the few places I know that we could be starving, we can be struggling, which, by the way, our people are. A lot of us are struggling. A lot of us are having, it's a bad time right now. It's definitely a bad time. And yet we still give to others than we do ourselves. How that fucking makes sense, I have no idea. Probably the dumbest thing that I've ever heard. Probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen growing up. And I'm like, shouldn't this be given over to our own people? You would think that, but apparently people don't think. Apparently our government doesn't. I like to say a lot of the times it's so that we can have nations on our side, if that makes sense. Especially when time comes for war or when time comes for conflicts or issues. That's my understanding from a lot of it. But let's be real. All of that means nothing if our people are struggling. Makes sense to me. Makes sense to you. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, socialism is an easier concept to stomach when you're a kid and you're used to your parents just giving you free stuff. But as soon as you got to start working for that stuff, you understand the actual value of it.
I completely agree with that, especially with I've said it a couple times prior, but I grew up very poor. Not having a lot of money at all. And even this, of course, I was like, wow, this is something I'm not used to. However, if you were one of those very grace kids, I like to say, which honestly, I think people that have seen struggle probably tend to do better in the world, usually. But I will say for anyone that was given everything growing up, this is such a big hitter for them because they're just like, wait a minute, how does this work? Mom, dad, they just rely on them for everything. So they don't realize how rough life is just yet. But like I said, they'll learn.
This is a real example of taxes.
Mm-hmm. Look at this man. You said, give me that shit. God, does that feel bad? You're like, oh, I made $1,000. Actually, you made $600 in 2 weeks. Everyone's different, but it's just like, yoink, that's mine. Look how sad that man is.
How much do I owe?
Who knows?
You get to figure that out. Can I just pay what I want? No, we know exactly how much you owe.
But we want you to do it.
Guess the number too. But what if I guess wrong?
Guess I'll die.
Jail.
I can't eat!
By the way, that's not 100% true. What will happen is that pretty much they will get their money. They'll just be like, oh, actually, you owe us this much. So they'll send it to you. It's kind of like, oh, you thought your bill was done? Think again. Think again.
I'm broke, nigga! I'm broke!
I don't think there's anything wrong with
I can't tell you how many times that I've said that. I'm like, bitch, I ain't got no motherfucking money.
Right now, the
I can
average
go
amount
out.
of money you have to make in order to live by yourself is $60,000 a year, meaning you have to get paid $30 an hour. Come here. And that is just to cover rent. That's not including furniture. That's not including other bills. That's not including car issues.
Exactly.
Right? If you were to put all that together, you'd have to make about $75,000 a year.
And it's crazy because I have a little brother, Gen Zer. He's just recently finding that out. And he's trying to get a place. And here's the thing, not only is it expensive out there, trying to get a house, even getting sometimes apartments. And it depends on where you live too. I've heard California is okay, we don't talk about California, but even in other places in the world, it is expensive. And then of course with the younger generation, not all the time, a lot of young generation is actually pretty smart. But for a lot of people that I've seen, they don't even consider electric, water, your house insurance. There's much more. There's much more. And you got to consider all of that in there. Internet. If you like watching Netflix, you have all your streaming services. And then also you have your water bills. I mean, I'm not sure I already said that one. But point is that there is a lot that people don't even think about. And especially nowadays where it's so hard sometimes. Find jobs, find a good paying job. You're living paycheck by paycheck. So people just live with their family. a lot of the times, if you're able to. I wasn't able to. I fought my family a lot. Like, it wasn't until like I was 28 or something till I actually started talking to them again. So it's hard out there. It's hard out there. I worry sometimes for a lot of people. My prayers are that's all I can really do is just pray. Just pray that like things get better for you. You got to stay optimistic, but goddamn does the world make it really hard for that. Like sometimes.
Meaning you have to get paid over $35 or $40 an hour. So if you know somebody that is making you feel bad because you live at home with their parents, unless they are making $40 an hour at their job, they're definitely lying to you about their living situation. They either live in a closet or they have 4 roommates.
Exactly. And that's what people have tend to start like, that is what people tend to like start moving towards now, is that either having a bunch of roommates or just in general, like, you know, the whole thought process of like, oh, you live with your parents, you must be some kind of basement dweller. Sometimes there is, just saying. But a lot of us, like, you know, it's hard. You know, you can have 2 jobs out there. I was one of them. Like I said, people think that streaming stuff's my job. This is my hobby stuff. Military was my job, and also my financial. I do financial for my company. Like, and even then, I'm like, gotta be careful with my choices. Gotta be careful with my choices. Gotta be careful with what I can buy, what I can do. And that's just how it is. So if you are blessed to be able to live with your family or to be able to live with somebody that's going to help out with like your bills and all the other expenses, good. If anything, I'm jealous. I'm kind of jealous.
There's nothing wrong with staying with your parents right now, because at this moment in time, the new generation, they can't save any money. The only thing going up is the cost of things, not the actual payment towards their lives.
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say
It's
that.
not.
Yeah, I don't care what nobody say. If you blessed to have parents that love you, there's absolutely nothing wrong with staying home until you ready to leave.
Exactly. I will say one thing though. Don't take advantage of people's kindness. Don't take advantage of your families. Like, keep working your ass off. Have a goal in your head still. Where like, oh, I want to be able to get a house, or if you want a family, which by the way, coming from someone that was a stepmom with kids and everything else, let me tell you, it is so fucking expensive to have a family. That's why a lot of people don't even want to have families nowadays. It's too expensive. And well, not only that, but there's many other reasons, but that's a big one. That is a big one. It's like, why even bring a kid into this world and they're just going to struggle? Like, yes, struggle does make you learn, but like, imagine just every single kid just like, well, I'm broke, barely able to live, barely able to survive. That's not like, it's not a fun life. That's not a fun life. Come from someone that has been there. It's not fun. You learn a lot, but at the same time though, like, some people stay in that slump forever. It is not great. Let's just say that.
I've seen people leave home prematurely for multiple reasons. Sometimes it's because of dysfunction, but usually
That was
it's just
my
because
issue.
they don't want to live under their parents' rules. And to be honest, what usually happens is they go and get an apartment, and since they got to pay the rent for the apartment, they go and get a low-wage job because they don't have any job experience, because
Exactly.
they rush
No-
themselves out of
no
the
experience.
house. And they end up spending more time at the job than they do enjoying the freedom away from their parents.
Exactly. It's just nothing but work and barely surviving, literally living paycheck to paycheck. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's that is life a lot for a lot of people. Like, you really got to go all out and above to make that shit happen. And you know what? People always think to yourself like, oh, well, you shouldn't have to, you know, live a life where you're working nonstop. But here's the thing. That's kind of how it is around here. And it's not just like America. It's lots of other places too. There are some places that don't have to worry about that much, but we spend a good portion of our life, I think it's like a quarter of our life. I think it's a quarter of our life just working. So it's crazy. It could be more. It could be more. Somebody can tell me if I'm wrong, but I want to say it's about that.
And then it just becomes a cycle, because those low-wage jobs
Exactly,
are only
it's just
going
a
to pay you
cycle.
so much. So if you got parents, that's a huge advantage. Stay home until you're ready. I have a buddy that's 27 years old. He owns an entire moving company, but he still
Crazy,
lives
isn't it?
with his parents. By the time he leaves, he's going to be able to put a 50% down payment on whatever house he wants.
Exactly.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Which is huge. Which is huge. Like, here's the thing. If you have your opportunities, such as like family, or again, like a way to be able to make it so you can save money, please do. Don't be those people that spend money on stupid ass shit. Like, please have a plan. And if you don't know, what your plan is, what you want to do, you need to be able to look at this, think about it, do research, figure out what you want to do in life, then make it happen. Like, seriously, like, it seems like an impossible goal, but you can do it. You just have to really sit there, think about it, and have a plan. Have a fucking plan. Like, go from like, okay, I want to do this, and then I want to do this. It can be very, what's the word? Demoralizing. Demoralizing? Yeah. I may be wrong, but like, it's very like, it brings you down knowing that like, hey, sometimes like life likes to fuck you, and don't worry, it's going to fuck you a lot. So if you like to get fucked by life, trust me, it's going to get you a couple times. But with that being said, like, don't let it run your life. Yes, we all have to deal with these problems, but you can do more. It's just, you gotta be able to get up every day and be like, hey, I want to do better in my life. And that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do.
What's going on?
Been there, done that with y'all.
What do people think about the migrants here inside Chicago?
On some real shit, I think they need to go on back where they at, Joe.
You say, get him the fuck out of here, brother. Let me tell you, not in my fucking country. Get him out of here. It's funny because, like, here's the thing. I got family that are like immigrants too. Now, they came in the correct way. I think when a lot of people think of immigrants, they think of like, oh, it's the people that like snuck up in here. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of them. There is a lot of them. But there's also a lot of people that came from all over, and they did the process. And that's good. That's good. It's usually a lot of people that are just taking a lot of our resources, our money, and just in general, it causes lots of issues for us here in America. And honestly, get the hell out of here.
We ain't got enough room for them right now.
That's true. We do not have enough room right now. Our people are struggling. People that are born here that are trying to make the best out of being American. So, like, he brings a good point. Get him out of here, brother.
Be nice. We don't have to go there. I mean, you're not wrong.
You ain't wrong.
You didn't have to say it.
No, listen. Like, it's funny. Say it. Say it. People are like, oh, I can't say that. Oh, I'm going to get canceled. Oh, this and this. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest. You know what the problems are, and we should get rid of it. We should get rid of the issues. You know, you want to say that it's your government that's going to help you, but let's be real, they ain't going to fucking help you with nothing. Listen, I was military 12 years, and listen, they ain't going to do jack shit. They're going to do the bare minimum. They're going to do the bare minimum just to get by. Trust me. Unless we're in some kind of crisis, which in the world we are. But like, if it's somebody trying to fuck with our shit, then that's when people tend to act. But usually, if it's working, then they ain't going to change it, even if it's barely working.
And where should they go?
Shit.
Somewhere else.
Somewhere where's room for them at. Even if it's back to where they at or another little city, but Chicago too packed, man. We
say get the fuck out of here.
What do you think about them?
I don't blame them. Get them out of here. And
That's
listen, Chicago,
residents.
Chirac. There's a lot of problems with there. It's really bad there, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, they gotta skedaddle.
Like, they giving them shit that they ain't give us. And we born and raised in Chicago. They
exactly.
Giving them 15,000 in their name.
Why give all this money to people that literally are either A, causing problems, or B, they're not even our peeps. They're people that came out of here when they shouldn't have. And they're getting money. When people that are born and raised here trying to make something out of their lives, they're like, well, it is what it is. It's like, what do you mean it is what it is? It's like, no, that's some bullshit and you know it. You know, that is some baby bat bullshit and you know it.
Homeless people sleeping on the street. You know,
homeless problem's huge.
But y'all
I know it is around me.
Treating them better than motherfuckers who from Chicago. I don't like that though.
What's your direct message to Mayor Johnson then?
Man, fix this. Get this shit together, bro.
Fix this
Help
shit.
the city. Don't just be all talk. You talk that talk to get in there, live it. Stand on business.
Yeah, allowing immigrants to come.
Stand on business. I like this guy. We could be friends. We could fucking be friends. Stand on business, baby.
In and then giving them more benefits than Americans that have been paying taxes their entire lives.
Exactly. Terrible.
I'm not sure what the game plan is. I'm not sure if it's for cheap labor. I'm not sure if it's to stabilize the population because we're at a declining birth rate. I was actually talking to my wife about this recently, and this might sound a little bit pessimistic, but this is kind of what I'm starting to think. Maybe they're bringing in immigrants to help with production when it comes to manufacturing bullets or whatever we might need for World War III, or maybe it's just so they can be soldiers in World War III.
You want to know what it is? I want to know what it is, in my honest opinion, with this. So I've worked with a lot of businesses. I've worked with a lot of companies. Either I was HR or I was the person hiring, whatever. Immigrants are very, very, very cheap. They are very, very, very cheap. They want to work, and they'll work for pretty much nothing. Old company that I used to work for, they used to tell me when I was doing my hiring process, they're like, hey, even if they're not legal, they don't have their green card, it doesn't matter, bring them in, because we can put them on a very, very, very cheap, very, very cheap payroll, and they're going to work. They're going to work and they're going to just shut their mouth. And it's crazy because I'm not sure if I told this story like prior, but when we were going to get audited, we literally fired everybody. And we literally fired everyone just so that when they audited us, that we were good to go. Everyone was a full-blown American, pretty much. And you know the crazy part is that the moment that we got done with the audit and stuff like that, we brought them right back. So it's work and it's anything that we don't want to do. Anything that Americans don't want to do because immigrants will. Mainly just because they ain't got nothing. They ain't got nothing. And it's crazy. With struggle, you'll be able to get a lot of things from. And it sounds like amazing, right? It sounds amazing. You're like, okay, so they can pretty much have our jobs and whatever. They're going to get done the things that we don't want to do. Well, the issue with that, just like this guy was saying, was that we're starting to have like this we're starting to get overpopulated in many, many, many areas. Not to mention, not every immigrant like with that is like gung-ho working. Sometimes there's issues. Sometimes they're going to cause problems. Sometimes, just like with everyone else in the fucking world, you're going to have people that want to cause problems, whether they're dealing, whether they're smuggling shit in here. Like there's a lot of things where people that don't understand how we do things here are going to try to bring what they learned over here. So it's a mixed bag. So when everyone's like, oh, well, immigrants bad. Yes and no. But I will say one thing. We already have our issues here. We don't need any more people. That is one thing I can agree with all of this. We don't need any more people. Just saying. We're already struggling enough.
Either way, if you're the average American, you should be upset because Americans can hardly afford to eat, and we're giving our tax dollars to people that aren't even from here.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't going. Nah, it ain't gonna work.
Nah. It's just like it's not happening.
Taxes and I owe money.
This is blowing people's mind. Like, maybe just because I've been doing it for such a long time, I'm like, listen, that's the ropes. But then again, I guess the title with the Gen Z things. I don't know. It's something that a lot of people have to learn how to work with. Like, I think like your first time that you're doing taxes, first or second time, you will probably have to either or maybe there's a problem or not even specifically a problem, something that you didn't know because nobody told you. You didn't know because nobody told you. And yeah, now you have to pay for it. Like, I think I had that issue too originally, but it blows your mind. First time you're like, whoa, okay, I see.
I call my dad. I'm like, did I do this right? He's like, I don't know. Maybe you should pay someone to do your taxes for you. I said, does it sound like I'm in the position to be paying someone else to do my taxes when I already
You're living day by day. You're living day by day, check by check, I should say. And it's crazy because it's like, hey, just pay somebody. It's like, I ain't got no money. I ain't got no money for that. You're like, what do you mean? It's crazy how that works. It's the loop that literally you never fucking ever get out of. At least a lot of people don't. And, you know, I have a theory for that. Again, don't want to go on some crazy conspiracy thing, but like, I am convinced that your government, higher ups, and even people that are in the 1%, they do this for a reason. They do this for a reason. Keep the poor. And anyone else that wants to come up, just keep them down. There's the reason why they're the 1%. Just saying. Think about it.
The government money? Oh my God.
Yeah, blows your mind, huh?
What is this scheme?
She puts it in a good way. A scheme. It does feel like
God,
it, doesn't it?
Are you there? It is me, Sarah.
This man's not listening to you. Sarah, listen, that man, if there's a God, just saying this, he's going to throw a lot of tests at you. But I will say one thing. You and millions of others are struggling too with this. So don't worry. You're not alone. If anything, even if no one's listening, just know that you're not alone. You are not alone, and it sucks cock. Trust me. It is terrible. It's terrible. You are not alone.
You can't take responsibility. The future is just not there.
Yeah, I don't know. I keep thinking about the worst case scenario.
Had to back it up for a minute. 25 and is 152K in debt. I'm gonna listen to her. This sounds like a personal problem though. 152K in debt. What is that? You wonder what that is? So like the majority of college usually pay off for 4 years about 40K. Might be 50 or 60 depending on what your degree is. So 40, 80, 120. Let's just say hypothetically rounded up to about 160. That is 4 times college. 4 times. You could have paid college 4 fucking times, give or take. And like, okay, listen, I got to listen to her because that is ridiculous. That sounds like a personal issue.
Take responsibility. The future is not there.
Yeah, I don't know. I keep thinking about the worst case scenario.
Why are you in that debt though?
Yeah.
That'd be really tough to go through at 25, but
Especially with my car too. I think that's what's kind of stopping me from going that route.
Wait.
Because
let me hear this.
152,000.
What car do you have where your car loan is this much? You ever heard of used cars? You ever heard of like a scrap? Listen, have you ever heard of Craigslist? You know what my first car was? My first car was a what is it? It was such a long time ago. Oh my god, it was an old ass fucking pickup truck. It was an old ass pickup truck that we got from Craigslist for $1,000. Actually, no, it was $600. $600. And we fixed that shit up. It was a piece of dog shit, but you know what? That thing lasted me. Car loan fucking $16,000 right there. That's ridiculous. Listen, you gotta do better. You gotta do better. I had to think about that for a minute. I was like, what? 17, 18? Like, God, I'm old, Chad. I'm old. I'm old.
$27,000. Oh, $152,000. $152,027 in bad debt. That is a number that just shouldn't even be considered.
Now, again, this one right here, I don't know their life, I don't know their parents, I don't know how that works, but kids 18 or up, a lot of time they get really excited being free, being adults now. So they'll buy a lot of stupid ass shit. They'll buy, or they'll have their credit cards, they'll get stuff where they're like, okay, I can afford this. Then life hits them with the no. And now you're in this huge debt. So this one, I'm going to have to say, you didn't look good enough. Am I wrong? I'm not entirely sure. But at least for me personally, that was my thing. And I was growing up poor too. I get it. But my thing was this. I needed to get the cheapest workable vehicle, the cheapest workable anything inside my life to make it so that I can function, so I can live. So that one I think is more of a skill issue. I'm going to be real with you. You got to look better. You got to be able to do this part better. I don't know. Comments, let me know.
As a number for someone in your age, that's like you having a mortgage or something.
Yeah, $125,000 of debt at the age of 25. You might as well go ahead and file for bankruptcy.
You pretty much would have to.
With no kids. It's probably the best time to do it. Two of
Yep,
my
pretty
buddies
much.
lived together in their early 20s. And when I say buddies, I mean guys that I've known since I was 14 years old. There's only 4 of these people on the planet. I don't use the word friend as just a word to say.
As you should, by the way. Keep your friends small, close, people that going to motivate you. Sorry, off topic. Don't have a bunch of friends. They don't love you.
But anyway, my 2 buddies
They
were
don't love
living
you.
together, and I remember this because every time I would come back home from college, they would have a new gadget. They were buying like electric skateboards. They were buying
I'm glad he's bringing this
motorcycles.
up.
They were buying cars.
I'm glad he brings this
Pretty much a
up.
bunch of egregious shit that they didn't even really need.
That they didn't need. But again, I think he said they were like 20. So you dumb, you blind. You think, oh, I can get this. I have credit cards. I'm able to like, there's many ways to literally finance these things, but little life tip. If you can't buy it with real money, because again, credit cards, all that stuff, that is not real money. I hope you know that. But if you can't buy with real money, don't buy it. Don't buy it. Trust me, you will live such a better life if you're able to just spend your own cash on it. So everything else, unless it's something to survive, you don't need it. Again, skill issue on her end. Listen, am I mean for that shit? I don't think so. That's life for you. Life fucking sucks. Grow up.
And it got to the point where they were working 40 hours a week and could hardly afford to eat because all the
They were
money
buying
they were
stupid
dishing
shit.
out was because the interest rates were high and they were just trying to pay back these people so that they wouldn't get their stuff repossessed.
Exactly.
Eventually, some of
Stupid
their stuff
shit.
got repossessed, and
Oh,
I
I bet.
remember they had a moment of clarity where they realized the only reason we feel like we're slaves and the only reason we're in such a scarcity mindset all the time is because we've made so much debt. We've built up so much debt from buying shit that we don't even need.
Exactly. And that's the crazy part too, is that yes, this is a thing. And you know, and I've been talking about her having her issues and he's talking about his own friends. does not mean that we're not struggling overall. Even people that are actually doing it correctly, planning, working as hard as they can, all of that, etc., etc. We're all struggling, but this does not help you. And if someone wants me to cry them a river, I'm not going to give a fuck. Trust me, I've had no money before too. And yes, I've had some issues too that I was like, oh, I can do this and this. But I woke up really fucking fast. I said, hey, if you want this shit, guess what? You better do better. And not just work harder, work smarter. Find ways to be able to make this shit plausible without killing your body. Because trust me, my body's all fucked up, but I'm going to blame the military on that one.
So they started working 60 hours a week. And at this time, we're in our early 20s. So these jobs are not good jobs. They're just putting in just grind hours, just grunting it out. 60 hours a week, paying off debt for about a year and a half straight. Eventually, they got to the point where they didn't have any debt anymore. Fast forward to today, they're completely out and they don't want to go back into debt. They save their money. They both make about $100,000 a year. One of my buddies just called me a couple days ago and said he makes he just got a $20,000 raise on his salary. And the other buddy owns a pharmacy, is a partial owner in a pharmacy in Kenya. So they're both doing pretty well.
I like that. And that's the thing. These are good stories. These are things where like, we've all been young. Listen, I think most of my community is about in their 30s, I think. At least from when I did my little survey. But we've all made mistakes. It's if you learn from them. Because listen, clearly his friends did. And now they're doing so much better. But what tends to happen, and this is where a lot of people screw up, is that even if they made a mistake, like, and I have a lot of friends that have done the same thing and then they learn nothing from it. They literally do the same thing again. A lot of my friends, or some of my older friends, I should say, they're alcoholics. So a lot of times they would spend a lot of money on stupid things when they're drunk. And then they would go and do it all over again. It took me a long time to finally pay off my debts, but after like 30 some years, after like 30 years, I would say, they finally did get paid off for the most part. And you know what? You have to have that discipline. You got to be like, okay, I want this. I'm going to work here. I'm going to find a way to be able to make your life, whatever your life is, whatever you want in your life, functional. And I think to myself this, think, live simpler. Don't want these fancy Ferraris or these, okay, to be honest with you, I don't know a lot of expensive cars, Chargers, stuff that like you don't 100% really need. I got a nice truck. I have a lot of things where I'm like, okay, this is good. I like this. That's all I need. Just to be able to drive to work and do the small things that I need. And done. Just little things where you're like, do I really need this? Question yourself. Do I really need this? Something that a lot of people don't really think about.
And it's because once they got out of that scarcity mindset, because they actually got to keep the money that
then
they
they
were
get comfy
making, because they weren't buying shit they don't need, it gave a lot of clarity, and they could actually make decisions with a rational mind instead of just living in a scarcity mindset their entire lives. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I don't know if the economy is ever going to get any better. But
it won't. Maybe it's the controversial take for some people. I don't really think it is. Again, working with the government, I've seen it like this. Doesn't matter who we elect. Doesn't matter who we bring into office. Doesn't matter what goes on with this. Like, the world's still going to be fucking shitty. I'm going to be real with you. Your issue or your problem that you have is not going to be fucking solved by some old ass man in office that's like 70, 80 years old about to die. It is literally going to be your decisions and how you do things. And I will live and breathe on that. I will live and breathe on that fucking hill. Like, you got to do the work. Right there. You can like stand by all these people, but here's the thing. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give two shits or a fuck about you. So you got to make sure that you give two shits or a fuck about yourself. If you don't, then what's the point? What's the point? What's the fucking point?
Best thing you can do from my experience is to live way below your means and never go into debt, especially for something you don't need.
And exactly. That's a fact. Absolutely fucking true. Absolutely true. By the way, it's such a good song. Hold on a minute.
My dad.
Listen, very good video. It was short and sweet, and I like this. Like, this shows you that, like, hey, we've all been there. And listen, it is a very big culture strike. Sorry, my English is really bad. Not my first language. A culture shock. There we go. Culture shock. For a lot of people, not just Gen Zers. I had that issue. Everyone had that. It's interesting how people deal with it now. Gen Z's generation is a lot different than mine growing up. But I will say that we all get this. I like this because it kind of tells you like, hey, we can be struggling. We're always going to be struggling. And the economy right now is pretty rough, but it can get better. It can get better. You just got to be smart. Think smarter, work smarter, not harder. I cannot say that enough. So many people work their fucking ass off in something that like they can easily be able to do something better if they put if they use their noggin. They got to use it for more than just their primal dumb shit. Like you got to be able to use your brain to be able to advance yourself, not only to be able to financially help you, but also like think about your body. You cannot do that super hard physical labor or that super hard thing that's going to wear and tear on your body forever. Think about that. You got to think about it. So you got to always be thinking about something in your future, something that will help you for the times to come, because there will be tough times. Definitely. Like I said, really good video. Really good video. I've never seen this guy before. Poor Man's Podcast Reacts. But I do like this. I do like this one. Go ahead and check them out. I really do like them. So very good video. Talks about a lot of things that people don't really talk about much. And you know what? If I had to put one more thing on it, your schools, your life, the way that we are taught growing up, schools, anywhere that we are learning shit from. I like to be able to like, hey, let's learn about taxes. Hey, let's learn about how to cook things. Hey, let's learn about things that are going to help us live. Like, yeah, you got to learn about like science and math and blah, 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 blah. But like, let's learn about things that are actually going to help us after we leave. Just saying, after we leave school. Just a thought. Anyway, great video. I love it.